Hi, this is Emily Matthews with Remax Universal, and today I'm interviewing Adrian, who has a special niche business related to clearing out houses. So, Adrian, how would you describe your business, or what do you do?
So a lot of times people will come to me and say, I need my house cleaned out. Someone passed away, or the house goes in a house foreclosure or something, and the real estate agent or even the county treasurer will come to me and say, hey, I need this house cleaned out so that we can sell it. Usually it's someone passed away. The family's trying to get things in order so that the house can be put up on market and sold. And so there'll be things left over that they need removed. A lot of companies will come in and charge people an exorbitant amount of money to remove those things because they don't really have a secondary way of getting rid of it, and you're paying them for their labor to get it out. I go in and I look at the property and I say, okay, hey, I can sell these few things or these things which will make up for the labor that I would normally charge to take out, and then go sell it on my own.
Right.
Because on the flip side, I'm buying and bidding on storage units, which I have to pay for.
Yeah.
And then if I win them, then I have to clean them out. But if I don't have to pay for it, I'm still getting an inventory in.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps everybody out.
Right.
But if it's a complete trash out and it's all trash, then I have to charge for the labor and the disposal of those items.
Right. So it varies case by case.
Case by case. It's not all the same.
And then you kind of have a specialty with some of the things that you are looking for, even if someone say they weren't going to be selling their house right away, but they needed just to get some things out. So
correct.
What are those specific items that you would?
So I've cleaned out hoarder house situations. I'm very sensitive to how hard it is for some people to let go of things. And I know how personal people can get and how hard they know that they worked on things and to acquire whatever that they have. But they're coming to a point in their life where they need to get stuff moved. It needs to go away.
Right.
It needs to, like, mentally, having a lot of stuff in your house is mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
The hard part is for a lot of people, a lot of people have the mindset of, in the 30s when, like, I know my grandparents, don't get rid of anything because you're going to need it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, mine were like that too.
The unfortunate part about that is there is a cost of having stuff.
Yeah.
So if you have to get a storage unit, and let's say you have to put all your stuff in a storage unit and pay $120 a month, multiply that by 12.
Yeah.
Then multiply that by how many years you store it for. Is the stuff inside the storage unit worth the amount of money that you are paying to store it?
Right. That's a good way to look at it.
The hard part is that when I buy that storage unit and stuff that's 5 years old isn't worth anything anymore.
Right.
So out of a storage unit that I clean out and empty, only maybe 10 to 20% of it is actually reusable and resaleable.
Right. But for someone who is just wanting to resize in their own home, you said you have an interest in mid-century furniture.
Correct.
Yes.
So one of our businesses is to refurnish that mid-century furniture, and it can come in all different conditions.
Yeah.
So we have a refinishing shop that goes through and refinishes it, and then we market it, and then our main sales are in Chicago.
Yeah.
We usually sell about $120,000 a year in product.
Oh.
So it's a lot.
Yeah.
So trying to acquire that particular furniture to appease that particular market is getting more challenging every day.
Well, they're not making it anymore.
Well, they haven't made it, since the 50s and 60s and 70s, and even the modern stuff today is junk.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have, trying to acquire it is a challenge.
Right.
So if we can acquire it through the use of using our labor to clean out a house or removing some things, it helps everybody.
Win-win.
It's a win-win, yeah.
Yep, it's a win-win. So I know you mentioned, you kind of briefly talked about consistency in some things. So how would you describe that role? What role does consistency play?
So being consistent means that when I say that, hey, I'm coming in to clean this out, and that I am following through to the T of what I say I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So being consistent, and then being available anytime that I'm asked.
Right.
Is making sure that I have the time and the resources to take care of it when you ask, because if I don't,
Right.
you'll go to someone else.
Right.
And then I lose that
Yeah.
little bit of a relationship.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose that. You know,
Right.
like with the county treasurer, I had done it for a number of years. Now the housing for the county treasurer is different, where they'll be able to sell a house full of crap
Yeah.
for whatever the auction price goes, because people don't care. They'll deal with it for the price
Yeah.
that they're going to buy it for.
But
The real estate agent is a different. You're getting a
Right.
different clientele, because a
Right.
lot of the houses that the tax foreclosures are not that great of shape.
I know. I've never been in a nice foreclosure.
So they're not nice. They're a foreclosure for
Yeah.
a reason.
Yeah.
In order back in the day, about 10 years ago, it was great for that, because we could go in and clean out everything out of the house.
Right.
But now with the markets changing, where people are fighting over these little things, and you got flippers and everything else that are trying to buy these things, they don't have any problem. But before, they did have a problem selling it, so we go and clean it up to a condition that people can see what they're getting before they buy it.
Right, and it could go back that way too.
Yep.
And then we talked also briefly about how you see your role. Like you mentioned that you see your role as helping people.
Yeah.
In many different ways.
Yeah. So I help people on all ends. So from the person who needs the service done, I'm cleaning it out, and if I can see something of value, that I can charge them nothing. And a lot of times people don't have money to spare.
Right.
So I'm trying to help them get it out of the way for nothing, and then still being able to hire guys that, for the most part, might need a job or whatever. They're helping me work and get this stuff out, so I'm helping them. And then at the end, almost like a resale shop, when I set up my shop or a garage sale or whatever I do, it's like you come and make your price. Mm-hmm. So people are able to buy what they need for pretty inexpensive, when even going to a resale shop these days is a little bit expensive.
It gets pricey, yeah.
So trying to help everyone on all angles.
Yeah. So what would your advice be for someone who maybe lived in a home 15, 25, 50 years, and they have a lot of things they want to resize, but maybe not actually move yet? What would be your best advice for that situation?
So having dealt with thousands and thousands of people's stuff, quite literally, I have come to terms with learning over time that no, your kids don't want your sofa. No, your kids don't want your dresser. They don't want all this stuff that you save for them. They want the pictures. They want the memories.
Yeah.
But as I explained to one of my friends who inherited 120 full-size tractors,
oh my,
you need to sell these, because the next generation doesn't want them.
Yeah.
It's even like my own personal collectibles. My kids don't want those.
Yeah.
So it's better off to sell the stuff while it's still a value, while it's still hot,
right,
before you lose it all.
Right.
Because there comes a point, like I always give the Beanie Baby example.
Oh yeah.
People say Beanie Babies, and they were thinking that that someday they'll be worth something. Well, unfortunately, they're not worth anything.
Right.
Hummels are not worth anything. Those old china plates aren't worth anything.
Yeah.
Because my generation doesn't want it, and the generation behind me absolutely doesn't want it, and the other generation, they don't want any of it.
Yeah.
So
it's really interesting.
It's just, you have to understand the generations before you to see if what you have is actually valuable.
Right.
And a lot of times how I can determine value, if something's valuable, is see what things have actually sold for currently.
Right. Well, and then, could have family value, but I think probably the best idea would be, instead of assuming that your kids want all this stuff, you would just ask them, have a family meeting, have them, put a piece of colored tape on it if they, take turns picking out things they want, and that way what they don't want.
Correct.
And it can go to the people that do want it,
And don't be afraid to donate things, even if it has value. Donate it, move it along, because in the world of recycling, if people are eco-friendly and thinking about the usable cycle. So if I needed a microwave, as an example, and I could get a used one for, let's say, even $20 or $5 or whatever.
Yeah.
That saves the world from having to reproduce that microwave because I
Exactly.
need it when you don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you save it for 20 years thinking you're going to use it again, more than likely that microwave isn't going to work like you thought it was.
Yeah.
Things break down, electronics break down,
Right.
and they outlive, or
They
no
don't-
longer function anymore
Right.
than what you thought. Like right now, I'm having a hard time finding a CD player that works to play my own CDs. I've gone through like 10 CD players and they all don't work.
Wow.
And so I'm having to junk them all,
Yeah.
hoping that I'm going to find another one.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not I do or not, and these are CD players that just been sitting around, not used.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's a prime example of how things
Like you save it too long, it's not good to anybody.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
it's garbage. And the last thing you
Right.
want is to keep filling up our landfills of more stuff.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
things in the cycle, which keeps people from having to buy newer things all the time.
Right.
And it makes things more available.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hoarding it in a house doesn't do you any good. Mentally, physically, emotionally, it
Right.
becomes very draining and taxing.
Right. Yeah.
Move it along and give it to someone, or donate it somewhere where it will be
Right.
put back to use.
Yeah. And I think you had said something like, look at it, and if you haven't used it in a year, get rid of it. And I guess what I would say also, within that year, you have plenty of time to ask your family members, do you want this? And if they say, well, let us think about it, okay. But then when the year is up, just make the move and
Make the move and move
get
it
it
along.
going. Yeah.
Yep. We
Yeah.
live in a world of stuff, and there's so much stuff.
I know.
And people's interests change
Yes.
on the fly all the time.
Right.
So while it's in the mood, you want it, you need it, take it.
Right.
And that's kind of how I do. If someone needs something, I just give it to them
Right.
freely. If you want something, then I make you pay for it.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Well, thank you very much for your input. This has been very helpful. This is Emily Matthews, here to help you with all your real estate needs. And that's it for now. This is Emily Matthews, here to help you with all your real estate needs. Don't forget to subscribe. It's the little icon with my head on it. Have a wonderful day.